Hi, it's Marguerite McNair again. I want to start this video out with an apology. The very first video I made, I promised everybody that watched my videos I would tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The video I made yesterday, when I was running from the cult, I stated that the cult had paid the people that I stayed with to leave the front door open so they could get me. That wasn't true. I assumed that that's why the front door was open. When the Lord told me to grab my stuff and leave, I assumed that. So I want to apologize. That was an out and out lie. I promise to always tell the truth, and I always will when I'm on here, no matter how embarrassing it is. If something is not true, I'm going to come and tell you all. Now, what I would like to do is continue on the story of how I met my husband and what happened. After we got married, I sold my house, paid off all my bills, and we bought 15 acres, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Kill, Mississippi. I was working at the time at the post office, delivering mail, a city carrier. My husband decided to retire. He had just made 62. My husband decided to retire, so I was the only one working. I was retired Navy, and with the post office income, I was making really good money. My husband started training Beagle dogs how to run rabbits. He built a pen on our property, and that's what he did. Everything was going good, I thought. My mother got sick and needed somebody to care for her. So my husband said he would retire, run dogs, and help take care of my mom while I was at work. So that's what we decided to do. Everything was going pretty good, I guess, the first year and a half. Then I noticed that my husband started not helping as much. When I would call, he would lie and say he never got the phone call, but he did. He was ignoring me. At that time, I had no idea about what he was doing. He was meeting people online, male and female, and he was going out while I was working. He was going out, meeting people online, having sex with them. I had no idea at that time that he had a problem sleeping with a bunch of people. I was 9 years younger than him. So I figured that was the least of our problems, that would be that he would be sleeping with a bunch of other people. I was working 10-hour days, sometimes 6 days a week, because I was trying to focus on getting the property paid for, so when I retired, we wouldn't have a mortgage. We started going to Victory Baptist Church. He joined the church and later on told me, "We members of the church now." Because I was trying to follow God, I figured the Bible says to follow your husband as he followed Christ. So I started going to the church. And the first thing I noticed, the first alarm going to that Victory Baptist Church, was it was a very beautiful young lady. She used to sit in the very front. And when Ricky Moore, I won't call him a preacher, I'll call him Ricky Moore. When he started preaching, he would preach directly to her. Everybody in the whole church knew that he was talking about her. And I felt real squeamish about that. One day she disappeared. I never seen her again. But that was a big alarm to me. And I talked to my husband about changing churches because I knew something was wrong. In my spirit, I knew something was wrong. And we had been together maybe about 7, 8 years at this time. Every time I would go to that church, the Bible say that when you enter the church, you're supposed to enter with praise and thanksgiving. And I was entering with dread, so I knew that wasn't the right church for me. So I started praying to the Lord, asking the Lord to let me leave that church. Because no matter what I said to my husband, he wasn't going anywhere. On Wednesday nights, he was there 2 hours early. On Sunday, he was there an hour early. He loved that church. All of a sudden, people started gossiping about me. When I walked through the front door of that church, I could feel the gossip. And I knew that gossip was coming from my husband. And I'll explain to you why I felt that. But let me go on. I knew my husband was going to that church, gossiping to everybody at the church. And it wasn't just one or two people gossiping. It seemed like the whole congregation was gossiping about me. And I would have flashbacks of that good-looking woman that Ricky Moore used to preach about, and everybody knew it was her. I knew it was my turn to be in that position that girl was in. So that's when I started praying to the Lord to help me leave that church. I figured eventually I would leave my husband too. But my kids hadn't grown up all the way. One day I was delivering the mail, and the Lord told me, you can leave now. He said it very clear. I turned around to see if anybody was standing behind me. And when I turned around, nobody was there. So I knew that the Lord was telling me I could leave Victory Baptist Church. The Sunday after the Lord told me that, I got up early, got dressed. I got in my car and I started driving. And as I was leaving, my husband said, where you going? And I told him, I'm going where the Lord lead me to go. The Lord said I could leave Victory Baptist Church. I'm leaving. And I'm sure the Lord is going to take me where he wants me to be. So the Lord did. I drove, and all of a sudden the Lord said, this church. And I slammed on my brakes. Nobody was behind me. And I looked around, and behind me, it was a little bitty church. So I parked and went in that church. I fell in love with the church. I fell in love with all the members, the preacher. I joined the choir. I loved it. It was beautiful. I loved every service. I used to sing all the way to church. And that lasted about maybe 3 years. And one day, the preacher was preaching, and I was clapping and amening. And after the service, the Lord said to me, I need you to go back to Victory Baptist Church. I started crying, and I cried, and I cried. And the preacher came to me, and he asked me what was wrong. And I told him that the Lord told me to go back to that demonic church. And the preacher said, if the Lord told you to go, go. So I went home, and I prayed, and the Lord wanted me to go back to that demonic church. The next Sunday came, and I stayed home. I just couldn't go into that church. The following Sunday, I stayed home. I just couldn't do it. And then I ended up with Lyme disease and Rocky Mountain spotted fever. I was walking 18 to 22 miles a day delivering mail, and I couldn't go from my bed to the bathroom. I had my husband take me to the emergency room, and that's when I was diagnosed with Lyme disease and Rocky Mountain spotted fever. The doctor sent me to a specialist. A nurse would come every day and give me an IV full of medicine. When I went back to the specialist told me that he had given me the best medicine and it didn't work. He said he had a medicine that was only 65 to 70% effective. So he wanted to try that. And I knew that the reason that I still had the Lyme disease and Rocky Mountain spotted fever because I didn't do what the Lord told me to do. So I told the specialist not to give me the medicine until the following week. That next Sunday, I went to Victory Baptist Church. I went directly to the preacher and told him the Lord told me to come back. And he wanted me to wait. And I says, no, I can't wait. I got to join the day. Because I knew that Monday, the specialist was going to give me the medicine. So I joined Victory Baptist Church back again. The following week, I went back to the specialist and he gave me the medicine. I want to end this video now, and tomorrow I'll start the next one.